women are really tuning into themselves saying, this is not for me anymore. I want to start my own thing. It's time. And they're making the moves. But what I started to see, and I found it in myself too, is that when we start up our businesses, we're still bringing the corporate conditioning with us. And we are kind of getting caught in this work of, I need to hustle. I need to trust outside opinions. I need to ignore my inner compass. And so we kind of get caught up in this second guessing of ourselves. And
So, hey, Mindy, thanks for
Huh?
coming back on.
My goodness, thank you so much for having me. Again, this is so fun.
I know we couldn't get enough of you last time, so we thought, hey, let's have her back on. Last time we talked a lot about human design and
Mhm.
what it entails for women, and now you are also pivoting in a new journey. And we wanted to talk a little bit about that because we're also pivoting into that journey of where women are trying to really step into their own power in business and in life. And human design does play a big role in that. So we want to dive right into the conversation. But if anybody hasn't listened to the previous episode with Mindy on human design, you can check that out. It's in our library. I'm not really sure what date it was. It was sometime last year. And we're in the new era. So we want to talk about the new era now.
Yeah.
Can you, because this is lighting me up right now, and Whitley too. It's like we always talk about this new era, this new era. What does that mean to you, this new era?
Yes. Yeah. So that's such a great question. And it's so fascinating to me how both of you pivoted in your business. I pivoted in mine. And I really do think that it stems from what is unfolding in the background. And when I say that, there's actually something at play in human design. And we are actually in this transition period. We're not quite into the new era yet, but we're on the cusp of it. 2027 is when the new era actually starts in human design. So, what this means is for the last 411 years, since 1615, we have been in what is known as the era of planning. And this is all about hierarchy, it's about external validation, it's about specific systems and structure and follow the rules. And it's like this collective following in a sense. And so, of course, we have lived quite a majority of our life in this era. But right now, we're transitioning from the old era into this new era. And the new era is really exciting because it actually aligns with exactly where our businesses are going. So it's interesting that the pivots already started to happen because what happens is when human design has this transition, some people start feeling the shift 7 years ahead of it. Some will feel it 7 years after it's actually happened, and some may never actually adopt it fully, but you'll start to see, and when I share what the new era is, you'll start to pick up on, "Oh my gosh, yes, I've seen this happening. I can see the way things are changing." And the new era begins in 2027, and it will last for the remainder of our lifetime. So it's going to be here for 411 years. This is the era of the individual. And so
Okay.
what this means is it's all about basically coming home to yourself. It's about authenticity. It's about individuality. It's about looking inside of yourself for the answers, trusting your body, trusting your inner compass, not looking outside of you for things. And it's not going to be about hierarchy anymore. It's
Yeah.
not going to be about, here's my leader, I must follow them. It's actually about coming together as collective and walking the journey together, which is so
So
interesting. So it actually makes me think about this whole trend that's unfolding right now about 2026 is the new 2020 or 2016. And so it's like, it's not actually, it's deeper than what we think. So when you see all these posts on social media about everyone throwing it back to 2016, it's the vibe of it. It was what was happening underneath. It was more about presence. We weren't worried about all these aesthetics, even though there was some sort of a aesthetic like the white border and certain filters, but it's not about that. It's about community, right? It's about we were actually showing up in a way that was so much more authentic. And then all of a sudden, the world just became something different and we were starting to show up differently. And then all of a sudden, we were looking for that external validation. We are looking at follower count and we are looking at reach. And now it's flipping the script. It's not about the follower count or about your audience, it's about your community. It's not about reach, it's about resonance. So things are really shifting. And so it's starting to kind of bubble up under the surface, which is what makes me think that we were kind of feeling this and thinking a pivot needs to happen. And
Mhm.
so we started pivoting our businesses ahead of the new era actually unfolding. So it's honestly blowing my mind.
It's
The more you see it, you can't unsee it.
you're right, it is wild because I think for Sherry and I, we can definitely say that we've resonated with all of what you just said. Like, the last year has been a major just transformation in the way that we show up individually in the world, how we show up in outside structures, how we show up with even people, right? So in our relationship dynamics, and within our business too. Like Sherry, last year, she walked away from a company that she built up in wedding photography for about 8, 9 years. And for me, I'm also shifting totally, like completely shifting out of that, I guess, working environment and also past business ventures that I've done and really like stepping into something new too. But I think you're right because a lot of the conversations that I've been having with people, they've also been feeling a shift toward stepping into something new or pivoting altogether, whether that's in their career or starting a new business or completely shifting their business altogether to going down a different direction. But I think like the biggest common theme that I'm really seeing over the last while is people are, like you said, and I loved how you said this, coming home to yourself. Because
Yeah.
I think people are really starting to see their own inner power and really starting to own that and step into that and walk it. But also authenticity, that is so huge. I think authenticity and connection and collaboration are core themes that people are really starting to embrace now. And
Mhm.
before it was, like you said, is a lot of validation, it was a lot of hiding, is a lot of having to mask up and be a chameleon and to navigate this world. But I think people are really tired of wearing the masks. And I think people are just wanting to have that sort of humanity and that, like you said, that resonance, that presence, and that true genuine connection and authenticity. And I know for Sherry and I, it's been something huge for us. And I'm of how regardless of the things that we have pivoted or what we've done, we've always remained true to showing up with that authenticity, showing up as who we are, because one of our core values is really living that authenticity part to give women permission to be able to also lead and live authentic lives. So that is just, I love this. And I know that you're also like want to hear more about your pivot and what's changing for you in the direction so that you are able to help even more women through this new era, this new transition to Mindy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll definitely get into that. And I love what you said. You brought in the connection piece. I think that is it. I think that is the key to this next era, especially when it comes to showing up online and creating your business, is with the rise of AI. And of course, AI, like I love AI, I love incorporating it and using it as an integration tool. But with the rise of that, people crave humanness. They crave connection. And so I think that that's super important. And then also too, I think we're moving away from this marketing world of like the funnels, the act fast, the buy now or else. And people along the way kind of lost trust in a lot of that. And I
Mhm.
do still think that there is a time and place for that for sure. But I think that people are opening up to, I want to really be connected to who I'm working with. I want to walk the journey with them. I don't just
Yeah.
want to be dropped into this funnel and then here's your stuff kind of thing. So I think that we're seeing some
Yeah.
massive shifts there. And when it came to my pivot, it was interesting because I was kind of so I was working a lot with women. First, it started with one-on-one readings, and then I realized I feel like I'm just kind of acting like this fire hose and I'm spraying them with all this information, and it was a lot to take in and it was very hard. I could
Mhm.
see the overwhelm start to sink in. And that's when I pivoted and went into my 9 to Aligned membership, which was to support women who are rising in their role in the 9 to 5 or want to step away from it. But then as I was working through that, I was like, oh my gosh, there is something happening in the world of business with women and women entrepreneurs. And I was kind of doing some digging and I came across some wild stats that over the last few years, women owned businesses have actually doubled. And so women are seeing this. Women are noticing that this whole corporate thing, this whole 9 to 5, it's really not aligned with me. It's actually kind of impossible to be a mom and get everything done and show up in all these ways that you're meant to show up in these certain rules and structures of corporate. And so there is this disconnect happening. There was, I think the stats were last year, I believe it was, or 2025, one of the 2 year. Yeah, well, last year was 2025. I'm thinking in my brain we're in 2027. Um, that over 400,000 women exited corporate, 100,000 men entered. So you can see that the discrepancy there, men are entering, women are leaving. And so
Yeah.
what happens is women are really tuning into themselves saying, this is not for me anymore. I want to start my own thing. It's time. And they're making the moves. But what I started to see, and I found it in myself too, is that when we start up our businesses, we're still bringing the corporate conditioning with us. And we are kind of getting caught in this work of, I need to hustle. I need to trust outside opinions. I need to ignore my inner compass. And so we kind of get caught up in this second guessing of ourselves. And so when I created the embodied entrepreneur, it was really because I noticed this within myself. So human design allowed me to leave my previous role because my gut was telling me it's time to move on, time to try your own thing. So
Mhm.
I started my own business. As I was going through my business, it actually hit me. I actually left human design back here. Even though I'm teaching it and sharing it, I forgot to incorporate it into my own business. And what happened was, as I was trying to build up my business, I was trying to lean on the strategies that were working for other people. And I was ignoring my inner compass when it was saying, I don't really like the way that you're presenting this or creating this offer. And that's when the light bulb moment came off as I actually need to bring that human design back into my business, not only from the personal perspective, but into the professional perspective and run my business from this sense too, because everything, your business is built on the foundation of you.
Yeah.
If you're aligned, your business is going to be aligned. And that was what was happening with me is I was aligned personally, but I was starting to be misaligned in business. And so I came back to myself and started making decisions based off of my inner compass. And that is what really birthed the embodied entrepreneur is now I teach that with women. So whether you have an established business or whether you're dreaming up a business, it meets you where you're at because we look at the root of your business, which is you. And I always start the program with the foundation of alignment.
Love this. I feel like this
Mhm.
is so up our alley right now because you're right. Like for so many years, we've been in that mode of not only doing things alone, but doing things in that hustle mode, in that like the system, right? We talk about the system, right? And following the rules and the funnels and the ways in which the gurus teach you or tell you to do it. And you're right. I think now everybody's opening their eyes to the BS of
Yeah.
what that is. It's like, that's not realistic. And like, at the end of the day, I look at everybody as equals. So if I go online and I'm looking at you, I'm like, you're equal to me. But
Mhm.
the difference is you are embodying the version of you that is stepping into your purpose, right? And that creates success for you. So then there's the whole comparison thing, right? People say, I got to do it like you, like them, because they did it that way. But that's not the answer. The answer is within us. The answer is everything that we embody, we
Mm.
put out there as that energy, and that magnetizes the aligned clients for us and in turn helps them to align themselves because we're not here to teach people, to tell people what to do. We're there to guide them through how they can do it on their own with their
Mhm.
own energy, right? I think that's like such a big difference with like the rule book, the roadmap, the blueprint. This is how to do it. Don't you agree?
100% I agree. And you totally nailed it there in the sense that while way of doing it. So one strategy, one funnel. Yeah, sure. It 100% probably did work for that person, but it
Mhm.
doesn't mean that it is actually meant to work for everyone because we all are unique. Like you said, we all operate different. Even if we were to look at our energy types in human design, there's only five, but they operate so differently. So even if you're, say, a projector in business, your conditioned self is going to want to show up like a generator or a manifesting generator, kind of in that go, 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 do all the things, never stop, don't give yourself downtime. And that will be the fast track to burnout as a projector. So you can imagine if they're adopting all these strategies from generators or manifesting generators, because they make up over half of the population, it's going to feel hard. It's going to feel misaligned. It's going to feel like burnout. And then they start feeling misaligned, which brings up their not self in human design, which is bitterness. It's a feeling of bitterness for them. And so that is just their internal compass saying, you're not moving down the path that is actually meant for you. For a projector, you're meant to have rest. Rest is just as productive. And so 100%, we all are so unique. We all have different strengths and gifts and weaknesses. And we're meant to really operate with that from a place of trust versus, and that's where it comes back to trusting your inner authority versus looking outside of you for those answers. So, absolutely, you totally nailed
Yeah.
it.
Okay, soul sister, pause what you're doing for just 1 second.
If you've been feeling disconnected from the old version of you, like you've outgrown old rooms, old ways of doing things, and doing everything alone, we see you.
And let's be real, social media doesn't give us real connection anymore. Support feels tied to algorithms, numbers, and who's quote unquote performing the best. We've been there too.
And we know this. Your brilliance, your impact, your voice deserves to be seen, validated, and celebrated.
And that's why we built the Soul Sisters community, a space for women who are done shrinking, evolve together side by side. Come experience monthly live calls with us, real conversations, collaboration, support, and sisterhood that actually fills your cup.
So, if you're ready to step into this new version of you and grow alongside women who get it, head to the link in our show notes and come join us.
Because expansion looks better together.
And we encourage everybody to go back to the episode
Yeah.
we did on human
Yeah.
design so you can know what these different human designs are, like the characteristics of each, because
Yeah.
each person deals with like work differently, how they work and how they use their energy to create. So I think that's such a good episode to go back to and listen to after this one, after you
Yeah.
listen to this one.
Yeah.
So you can find out what your human design is, right?
Yeah.
Can you remind people how to do that again if they want to
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. So on my site, I've got a free human design report generator. So it's mindycrawford.ca. You can go on there. All you need to grab your chart, your free chart, is your birth date, time, and place. You will want to be as specific as you can with the birth time because some people's charts change drastically minute to minute. Other people stay the same over the course of the
Mhm.
day. So if you have that, use that. If you don't know your exact birth time, you can try a couple of different routes. Try contacting medical records of the hospital you were born at, ask a family member. You could even start with the time of 12 p.m., so noon, and just see, and then run it every 30 minutes just to see if a lot of things change. What you really want to look out for is your energy type if you're doing it that way, because the difference between energy types is so drastic.
Okay.
Right.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And I think we went over the energy types too in the last episode.
Yeah.
We did, yeah. So people
Yes.
can listen in through that episode as well. Mindy, you touched on a little bit about, so some of the women that you were working with who decided like they were wanting to do a pivot, leave corporate, go into business. And like you said, based on numbers, there's been a massive shift of women exiting corporate and leading and running their own businesses. But something that you see often too much is them taking those structure and systems and bringing
Hmm.
that into their business. And we'll just call it like that hustle, go, doing kind of energy constantly.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite normal for many of us. But for women who may be doing that, kind of going about their business in that way, um, what are some of the first practical tools or steps can they take to sort of shift from that hustle, go, go type of energy and being able to be more in that balance between doing, acting on those inspired ideas, and also knowing when to slow down and when to pause and rest?
Yeah. So that's a great question. And so I would always bring it back to the human design 'cause there's so much you can learn about yourself there. And it directly relates to business. And in my program, the very first thing I teach is the alignment and misalignment piece, because I honestly think if you can get that dialed in and get a really good foundation on, if you were to just not even know anything about human design, spend time with yourself and think, what is it about my business or my future business that gets me really excited? That makes me feel like I'm doing what I want to do, that I feel successful, that I feel peaceful, that I feel satisfied. And just brain dump it onto a piece of paper. And then look at it from the opposite way. What about my business that I'm in right now or my future business that actually already feels like it's pushing me into this feeling of frustration or anger or bitterness or disappointment, like something that it feels sticky. It feels like I don't want to carry this. It feels like I want to pivot away from that, and brain dump it on your piece of paper too. Because what we want to do is look at what are the things that are feeling misaligned for you and can you do something about them? And so look at your list and start going through it and see, can I let this go? Do I actually need to bring this in? Is this actually something that's supporting me? One thing could be that hustle culture. Do I need to be in back to back meetings every day? Or is this actually really like making me feel so bitter when I go throughout my day? And if so, can I actually take an aligned action? It does not have to mean like this, you have to take this massive action and burn your whole business down and start from scratch, but it can be as simple as a micro action by tweaking your schedule and adding in little pockets of time. So now, in between back to back meetings, you're not faced with that anymore. It's like you eliminate maybe a couple of them. Maybe you add that little safety net in between so you have time to step outside. And so it's really about seeing where you're at, because the whole intention here, your business should make you feel really good. And while there's going to be challenges, of course, and frustrations that pop up and things we can't avoid, that's okay. But we have to attack those when they come in. But if we are purposely kind of bringing things into our business that are making us misaligned and we're still running with it because we think we should, and that's how we operated for the last 15 years in corporate, and that's how we were taught, that's something to look at and start eliminating and moving through.
I love that. I also something that is really standing out too, Mindy, is you mentioned about the new era of doing things and even how we show up in our marketing, how we're showing up collaboratively with community through relationships versus that kind of like solo isolation, like salesy marketing funnels, all those things. And it's so funny because I was sitting there, I was like giggling to myself because I'm a hardcore like marketer, right? Like that's my background. And I love strategy, I love marketing, I love sales, all of that. And every time that Sherry and I we get together and we're like going to launch something or put something out, I'm like putting my strategy hat on, my marketing hat on. I'm like, "Okay, let's do it like this, like that. We're going to do these amount of emails. They're going to follow this kind of structure." And she's like, "Girl, like I feel like at this point she's just like she's used to me. She lets me like, do my thing." Ever I have been feeling such a disconnect, like, internally to that type of, marketing. Sherry's even said it too. She was like, "Girl, like, I don't know, I think, like, we've just been kinda saying, like, it feels like we just need to show up and do like, be real, be authentic, and share stories, like, share our experiences, share stories."
Storytelling. Yeah.
Building
Yeah.
those relationships, building the trust. It's not about these big fancy like marketing launches or these big fancy kind of like sales funnels and things. Yes, I love me a good sales landing page. I'll just
Hmm.
say that.
Yeah.
But what I'm hearing is, and anyone who's also jiving with me right now, who's listening in, who totally gets what I'm talking about. When it comes to this, it almost feels like this new era is like you don't have to show up like that anymore. It's like you just need to be yourself. You just need to feel what works for you and not what is working for the masses or what has worked traditionally. It's almost like breaking traditional structures and really stepping into our own and claiming it and really, really just like owning it. And so I would love to hear a little bit more about this and the new era, how you're seeing that shift as well, Mindy.
This so much because I'm like you, I love a great sales page too. And there are, and don't get me wrong, what marketing is not going away, sales are not going away. But I think that now we're just kind of layering different aspects of ourselves to bring into marketing and letting go of this like really rigid structure of the way it should look. So the I love that you shared that you're kind of feeling this pull of I want to sell in a different way, something that feels more aligned. I want to tell stories. And I'm going to bring in another human design piece in here because I'm pretty sure both of you, I'm pretty sure your profile is 4-6, right?
Mhm.
Four,
Yeah.
six. Okay. So again, if you haven't listened to the first episode, go back and listen to that because I talk about what profile is, but I'll try to do my best about how you can look at it from a business perspective now. So here is why I think you're likely feeling that shift. Because you've got this background in marketing, you understand the frameworks, how it's supposed to roll. You know how you're supposed to put it out there. But rather than going at it with this is how I did it in the past. Now you have a little bit more flexibility. And I love the way that you brought in, I just want to tell stories. Because with your profile, a profile in human design, when you pull your free chart, you will see that in the free chart. It'll be made up of two numbers. This is how you are meant to show up in the world. It's how you view yourself, it's how other people view you. And it actually ties into how you are meant to operate your business. So, if we were to look at the profile 4-6 specifically, because Sherry and Whitley are both a 4-6
Yeah,
profile.
coincidentally.
It's just the 4 in your profile is all about community,
Mhm.
which is you're already leaning into that. And so it's all about connection. It's all about that authentic relationship building. It's about connections that actually your connections and your community. When I say if you have a 4 in your profile, your community doesn't have to be hundreds of people, thousands of people. It can be 2 people, it can be 1 person. But just know that it's all about quality over quantity because
Yeah.
those with the 4, your opportunities for business are actually going to come from your connections. It's
Mhm.
word of mouth. It's that trust building that you're doing with the line 4. Line 4s also are about collaboration. So the fact that both of you are in business together, it makes sense. It's totally how your profile is supposed to operate. But here's what's super fascinating about this is that line 6 is all about storytelling. So when you are coming at it from a marketing perspective, if you have a line 6, you are meant to tell your life stories, like the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. They actually call the line 6 the role model because people come to you for these stories. Your career journey,
Yeah.
massive. That's going to be gold for your marketing. So it's no surprise that you're feeling this urge on the cusp of a new era to say, I want to do marketing differently. I want to bring in my stories. It aligns.
Gosh, thank you for the therapy session. That was awesome.
Woo.
Like, I feel like this is something we've been talking about every day, basically. It's like I keep saying, like, we gotta do storytelling, but I feel like because we're in 2 different cities, it
Mhm.
has to be kind of, like, done separately, and that's okay. I feel like it's good to have our individuality at the same time, but
Yeah.
still merge our stories together. I think the issue has always been, like, letting go of the old ways of doing things and,
Yeah.
like, releasing the need to be perfect, releasing the plan and structure of how marketing has always been, and now getting into, like, "This is easy. I just wanna tell my story," you
Yeah.
know? And that's the ease of it. Like, you get to do that because the best position that you are in like, the best thing you can give to somebody is where you've been, like, so they can learn from you, they can learn from your experiences, and, like, we have so much, all of us, we have ample experience, and that's why we're bringing it to what we're doing, right? And
Yeah.
you as well, Mindy, like, what you're doing is based on your own, inner experience and your own stories, and you're doing that too. You're connecting with your audience, and
Yeah.
they're connecting to you, and that authenticity, that connection is so much more valuable at the end of the day than any kind of marketing strategy. It just feels like I would buy you your services because of you. I
Right.
want in on your
Yeah.
program because of you, because of how you are conveying your message to me and how it's hitting. And, like, everything we're saying now is, like, it comes down to that emotional need that everybody wants to feel now. It's like they're all wanting this, like, connection piece too. Like that new era you're talking about. We're no
Yeah.
longer wanting to be doing things from a place of, like, online social media being, like, very segregated, or you feel like you're not really a part of anybody's world. You're outside, you're an AI and all of these things coming up. It's just, like, so much noise when
Mhm.
Hmm.
there's such a simpler way to do things right now that we're
Yeah.
not doing. So it's like, just come back to yourself, like you said, come back to you.
And
Yeah.
it's actually so brilliant too, because I mean, not everybody is a marketer. Not everybody loves sales. And so I think in the past when I worked with a lot of like female entrepreneurs in business coaching, the biggest thing that they would come to me for is like, how do I do my marketing? Because they didn't know how to do marketing. And I think this is like such a breakthrough moment for so many women right now who are in business that you
Mm.
don't have to know all the fancy marketing tactics and tools and stuff. Like you literally, it can be just as simple as just standing in who you are and sharing what you have to offer through your life lessons, through your storytelling, through just who you are as a person and where you've been and where you are today. And I think you're right, Sherry. Like it's such a gift to people to being able to share those things with others because people can learn so much from one another. And I think it's just everything to being more simplistic and more real too.
Yeah, and it gives them permission to be real, to show up real, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's it.
So tell us a little bit more about this new era. What do we need to know about the new era as we are stepping into our businesses, our pivots, everything in 2026 to prepare us for 2027?
I love that question. So I think that in this conversation, we have nailed it. We've laid it out. It's really about coming back to simplicity. We overcomplicate things constantly, especially in business, because we feel like we have to do everything perfect and we have to know all the marketing tactics in order to be successful. We feel like we have to show up online on Instagram posting 7 days a week to earn good money, but that's really not the case. In fact, it's really about prioritizing alignment, your energy, your frequency, because people feel that first. I think there's a stat that says 93% of communication is nonverbal. And so if you're showing up and you're feeling really down and you're not really feeling your best self and you show up online because you're trying to push your product or service, people are going to feel that.
Yep.
You're sitting on the other side of the screen thinking, is she for real? What is happening here? And so it's all about coming back home to yourself. You don't have to be a marketing guru to sell your products and services. You really just have to be so in sync with you
Mhm.
because you are your business first. When you are moving in a place of alignment, everything will flow with ease. And just remember too that business itself is what is considered a line three in human design. And a line three is all about experimenting.
Mm.
We are meant to fail in business. We are meant to make mistakes. That is part of the process. And in fact, when you make a mistake, if an offer flops, which that has happened to me multiple times, it's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's actually showing you what needs to be tweaked. Did you actually, and this is from us, actually, I should bring in a story, is I tried to launch a super quick service where I was like, I'm going to do a 21-day program. So sign up for this. I put it out there. It kind of was super forced coming from this misaligned state. And I put it out and I was like, well, this is a low price. People are just going to buy it. Crickets.
Mhm.
No one bought it. And it was because the energy that I put into it was so deeply misaligned that people could feel it right away. So, of
Mhm.
course, it flopped. And so it
Yeah.
was there as a really good learning lesson for me to really focus on when I am putting out a product or a service. Is it aligned for me? Does it feel right in my body? If so, that is the route to go versus trying to force something that maybe I adopted from someone else. And so it's all about tuning back into who you are, how
Yeah.
you're meant to show up. Uh, Looking even at those profiles, we are supposed to operate and show up so differently. So if you have a line one in your profile, you're meant to be this authority. You're meant to share your knowledge. But we all get tripped up along the way because even if we look at a line one, they may not share because they feel like they need to learn more. So it could be
Yeah.
like, I got to hold back because this isn't perfect. It's not refined. So looking at the line three of business, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be aligned. Actually, people love seeing other people when they're starting out and they like to follow along on the journey because then it becomes relatable.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Now all of a sudden people see, hey, I actually don't have to be that marketing guru. I don't have to be really great at cold calling people. I can actually sell because this person
Yeah.
did it. And all they did was just stay true to themselves along the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're like going back to your essence. That's your essence. And you are, if you're 100% you and you feel, you ask yourself, does this feel good to me? If it doesn't feel good, you got to sit with that. And we've done this so many times, Whitley and I, when we go through stuff, we're like, actually, this doesn't feel good. And then we sit with it. And maybe one of us feels it doesn't feel good, and the other one realizes it doesn't feel good because the other person hasn't sat with that feeling. So it's like,
Yeah.
you gotta like that's the benefit of having two of us is that if she doesn't feel it, she's gonna say it. And if I don't feel it, I'm gonna say it. So,
Hmm.
but I think sitting with that and like even though it hurts in a sense that you're like, shit, I thought of this idea. It's such a good idea. Like it's gonna make a lot of money, it's gonna bring in the dough. And then you're like, but it doesn't feel good. So
Yeah.
what is missing?
Mhm.
Pivot do we need to make, right? And it's allowing that space that I think really allows business owners and women in business because I feel like no business is successful, at least for me personally, that and from my experience, the businesses that I've had success in have always been from my own energy, but not coming from strategy. Just basically like I was a wedding photographer, so there's a lot of storytelling there, you know?
Yeah.
So I was in my element. I was in that creative element, you know? So it's like really putting yourself in a space of like, okay, am I only doing this because this is what works? Or am I doing this because it fuels me? It fuels my light, my fire, my spark. Like, can I do this every single day? Can I wake up in the morning and feel good about working on this thing? Because chances are I'm not gonna finish it if I'm not into it, right?
Yeah.
And the
Absolutely.
other thing too, to add to that, Sherry, because 100%, it's like you have to have the energy. You have to be, and I agree with you, Mindy, alignment is key on
Hmm.
everything that you do. If you're not aligned, it's not going to work out. But if you're aligned and you can allow yourself to have that energy and that creativity, like you said too, Sherry, but also adding in not becoming attached to the outcome. So
Mhm.
allowing yourself to surrender the outcome and to allow yourself to fully be present in the journey of what you're creating, because this allows that space for the universe to being able to bring the perfect circumstances, the perfect outcomes, all of it, right? And you just never know, like,
Mhm.
what you're going to learn, what you're gonna take away from that entire experience, from that entire journey, whether that's within business, career path, because throughout it, as long as that energy's there, you love it, it lights you up, and it has your full, like, intention behind it. There's so much more to gain from that other than just monetary gain. There's, like, the life lessons, there's building character, there's building grit, there's so many skills also that can be built along that journey too. But if all you're focused on is a set outcome, sometimes we block or we resist what the journey truly has in store for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is a mic drop moment there, actually,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
the outcome and the attachment to the outcome comes from your logical mind, which is how we are conditioned to make decisions. Alignment and surrender comes from the body, and that's your inner compass. That's how you're meant to tune in because your body will recognize alignment or misalignment before your logical mind can even identify. So that's exactly it, is trusting that your body is guiding the way, taking the aligned action and not getting caught up in the outcome. I always compare it to, if you're standing at the bottom of a staircase and you don't want to take the steps up to see what's at the top of the staircase, you're going to sit at the bottom and you're going to think, well, if I were to take those steps up, this is what the outcome's going to be. Here's what I'm going to see at the top of the staircase. You can spin in that cycle in your logical mind forever. But if you allow yourself to surrender and take that one aligned step at a time, eventually at the top, you're going to get the outcome. And so it's all about taking that aligned action. And the aligned action is going to come from that feeling that both of you were talking about, is when I sit with an offer, if it feels off in my body, even though it's scary and even though I feel like I'm going to leave money on the table, that is important to listen to because it's actually my inner compass guiding me in the most aligned direction.
Mhm, mhm.
I have a question because a lot of women are going through this, period of transition. Some people might be leaving their corporate jobs or, transitioning out of something and into entrepreneurship. And a lot of times, this fear creeps up. It's like, what if this doesn't work, And what if I fail? And what if the market's too saturated or my niche is too saturated and nobody wants what I want to put out there? Like they go into the what ifs. That's the logical mind, right? Like it's like mind is like overworking. But then what advice do you have for women who, maybe like, I don't know the human design part aspect if it comes in this, but like she might wake up and she might feel like, okay, I'm ready to do this today, but then all those thoughts creep in. It's like I'm stopping myself from going right now. And that sense of urgency comes, so she does things that are maybe outside of her zone right now, and she's just trying to come back to herself, but this fear of like urgency is
Mhm.
popping up constantly. And so, do you have any advice for that woman who is going through that transition right now?
Yeah. Yeah. And 100%, there are aspects of human design where this can be directly related to. In fact, in human design, there's three areas where fears live. And so there's 20 fears total. And it's fear of the future, it's fear of the past repeating itself. So even if you were someone who maybe tried to start a business 15 years ago and it failed, that fear could be deeply rooted within you, preventing you from moving forward. And you can get caught up in that. So you're stalling yourself. Whereas every single fear has the other side of the coin. It's also a gift. And so that fear, yes, it can keep you small if you stay rooted in the fear. But on the other side of that is the wisdom. What did you learn in the past? How can you take that forward to guide your journey moving ahead? Bringing awareness to your design, understanding what each of the fears could look like, which ones you hold, because we could hold 1, 7, 10, 11. It totally depends on your unique design. They can either show up as emotional fears, they can show up as splenic fears. So it's really about surviving,
Mm,
or it can come from your mind of overthinking of, what if I don't know enough? What if my opinions are going to be judged? What if someone comes in and they know more than me and then they kind of talk about my products or services that I'm putting out there and they say this isn't right or you're doing it wrong. So all of these can be present within us without us even knowing and can hold us back or stall us or keep that us in that loop of, say, maybe trying to put something out there of urgency or staying rooted in the job that we're in because it's safe and it's comfortable. Because as soon as we push ourselves outside of that comfort zone, your fears are going to be heightened when you step into entrepreneurship. There's all of those quotes floating around that entrepreneurship is the fastest track to self growth that you will ever be on. And that's so true because it reveals all of your flaws, it reveals all of your conditioning, all
yeah.
of your shadows, all of your fears. It's like brought to the surface. But the biggest thing here is, fear is not something to shy away from. Fear is actually just courage that's lingering beneath. It's kind of just like it's excitement if you were to look at it that way. It's telling you that you are on the brink of change. You've got one decision to make. Are you going to lean into that and become friends with that fear, or are you going to kind of get comfortable with the fear and allow fear to keep you stuck in that same place? So I would say that that would be it, is look at your human design, look at the fears, every single energy center will also hold a shadow that can keep you held back. So, for example, the ego energy center, that if you're rooted in the shadow and your ego is undefined, I know I'm throwing some human design terms here, but that can actually keep you rooted in proving yourself. Over delivering and undercharging is just one example.
Mm.
And so it's all about awareness. Awareness is key.
Oh my
That is
God, mic
so
drop,
powerful. I
mic
know,
drop.
right? Love it. I like you and you I think you touched on so many of the obvious fears that so many women actually feel, and they can feel multiple fears. Like there can be multiple of those fears that they're like experiencing or feeling. But I think you're right. It's like on the other side of that fear is opportunity. On the other side of that fear is change, is possibility. It's literally what is I heard this quote like all the magic is like outside of your comfort zone, right?
Yes, yes. You gotta get
Yeah,
uncomfortable. Yeah.
yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
grow unless you're uncomfortable.
It's just
Yeah.
yeah, I think, like, thank you so much for sharing all of those, Mindy, because it's a real thing. Like, I
Mhm.
think for a lot of people, a lot of
Yeah.
women who are leaving corporate to go out and venture on their own, it's scary. There's a lot of unknowns. There's so much to it.
Yeah.
So, if there's one piece of advice that you could leave for our listeners for 2026, what would it be?
So just keep it simple and say, just trust yourself.
I was just
Yeah.
thinking that. That's so
Yeah.
weird you said that. I was like self-trust, self-trust.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly think that that is the key to unlocking
Yeah.
that next era is we have to come back home to ourselves and trust ourselves because we kind of have done the thing where we put
Yes.
everything outside of us. It's time to bring it back
Yeah.
in. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's feeling into those things, like, remembering where we're supposed to be next. Like, it's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
we've already been there. We know this. Like, we feel it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now it's like
Yeah.
really asking ourselves the question, if I've been here already, how do I know?
Yeah.
Because, like, it's
Yeah.
so powerful to
Yeah.
ask your body the question instead of this. Like,
Yeah.
your mind can play tricks on you, right?
It's so true, so
Big
true. And the
time.
other thing too is like you had said, trust yourself. So something came up as you after you said that, and I just wanted to leave our listeners with this. If you're sitting here and you're thinking, okay, that's all I need to do is trust myself more this year, but maybe you're having a hard time with that. I want you to think about a time in your life, and I guarantee you can pull out a time in your life where you were going through something scary, something that required change, something that required courage, bravery, and it required you to trust yourself, but you got through it. Like getting through that experience that you got through, that required self trust. So that is evidence that when you trust yourself, good things happen and that you get through it at the end of the day. So use examples from your life and your journey to reinforce that belief of I can trust myself. I am safe. I can trust myself.
Yes, coming to you from the 6th.
From the For real,
I had to
actually, we're
drop
gonna
that
make
in there.
porno and we call it the six. No pun intended.
6, 7.
My gosh. Carson, did you hear that?
Oh my
Probably like,
god.
oh my goodness.
He's
Carson
back
home
there.
from school. So
That's
good.
another trend.
Mindy,
Yeah,
I want to
totally.
say thank you so much for again another epic episode. It's always like it's always fun when we jump on these on the
Mhm.
podcast with you. You have such a wealth of just knowledge and wisdom, but it's like it's information, it's energy, it's wisdom that really helps other people. And I think it's one of the biggest things, like you said, entrepreneurship is like that fast path, fast track to really like self
Mhm.
development, evolving. And I think part of that is understanding ourselves. It's understanding our navigating our personality, navigating how our minds work, our creativity, our flow, because we're all different, right?
Not one size fits all. Yeah.
Exactly. And you bring in an element that allows us to go even a little bit deeper through human design. So I just want to say
Yes.
thank you so much. It's always so much fun jumping on these conversations with you. I hope to have you back again, if you haven't listened to the previous episode.
Go back.
Jump on over there because you'll understand, like, if you're someone who is in business or, starting a business, this will definitely help you understand a little bit more about your human design. But I think your program, Mindy, going a little bit deeper into it,
Mhm.
Huge. So, so valuable.
Yes, so good. Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. I love being in this space with both of you. So anytime you
We'll
want me
keep
back,
having
you
you.
just
Yeah.
text me.
Oh, yeah. You can text us too. You'd be like, all right, it's time.
It's time. The new era is here.
We had that with one of our guests last week, Jess, and she was like, I asked her to come back on the podcast, and she was like, I was actually thinking about asking you.
So funny.
So
Well,
I think like, I feel like again, alignment, like people you align with, community,
yes.
the message hits the right audience because we're aligned with the guests and what they're talking about. And like, it also aligns with us because we learn a lot too. Like
Right.
we leave the conversation, we're like, oh my God, like last time we left the conversation, we were like, that was so good.
Yeah,
Right? Like,
yeah. It's like these kind of conversations fill my cup.
I
yeah.
know. Me too. Me
Yeah.
too. We're
Yeah.
all acting from our sacral. That's what
Yeah.
gets us
Yeah.
lit up and magnetic is doing things like this. It benefits all of us.
Yes, yes. So
That was
awesome,
amazing.
awesome.
Thank
So thank
you.
you so much,
Thanks so
Mindy. We'll
much.
see you next time.
Okay, sounds good. Bye.